Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Melissa Thompson. I'm your host today for this first webinar from our event, Belonging Matters. This event is all about creating warm, inclusive learning spaces. We're just about to start our first session, and it's going to be called Creating Happy Classrooms for English Learning. Yeah, that's right. We're focusing on happiness today. And I'm here with Mai Nyo. Hi, Mai. Welcome. Where are
Hi,
you joining us from today?
I'm joining you from Adelaide, South Australia.
Wow, the opposite side of the world from me.
Yes.
Oh,
Hello
it's
from
really
Adelaide.
Hi, everyone. If there's anyone here from Adelaide, from Australia, let us know in the chat, in the comments, and we would love to hear where you're joining us from. I can see that there are teachers from Bangladesh, from Brazil, um, from Vietnam, where I know you've worked a lot, from the UK, from Sri Lanka. Great. We're really happy to see you all here today. So, as I said, we've got two sessions today about creating warm, inclusive learning spaces. But let's start with this first session on creating happy classrooms for English learning. We'll be here for the next hour with Mai. Mai is an professor in the TESOL and Applied Linguistics Department in Flinders University in Australia. She's just been awarded a special recognition, a prize that she told us about this morning. What's the name of the awards that you got, Mai?
And that is the National Australian Award for University Teaching, Melissa.
Wow, congratulations, everyone.
Thank you.
Say congratulations to Mai. She told me this morning that she thought she was lucky getting this, but I think it's because of all the amazing work that she's done. That's absolutely fantastic news. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. So Mai has worked as a teacher and teacher educator for 30 years. She coaches and mentors young school teachers from Vietnam, from Australia, from all over the world. And she coaches them to teach English, of course, but also to become healthier and happier. And that's what she's going to talk about today. So, Mai, if you're ready, we can get started. You can share your slides, and I'll come back later to take audience questions.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for your very kind introduction. Can everyone see my screen for now?
Yeah, it looks good.
And-
Perfect. Okay,
Okay.
enjoy.
Thank you very much, Melissa, and welcome everyone to my webinar. Are you happy today, everyone? If you are happy, please put the word happy in the chat, or you can use any emoji to express your love and your happiness. Wonderful. I'm very happy with you today, and it's now 7:45 p.m. in Adelaide. It's evening, but I feel very happy because, this is a wonderful chance for me to see everyone from all over the world. I'm so touched to see that hundreds of people already joined my webinar. So hello everyone, my name is Mai Ngor, and today I'd like to share with you a very happy topic, which is creating happy classrooms for English learning. So for this topic, I'm going to talk and share with you three main things. The first thing is about the why. So why do we need to create happy classrooms for English learning? And then I will share with you my recipe for creating happy classrooms for English learning. I love cooking, so for all the strategies or approaches or methods or principles that I'm teaching, I always use the word recipe. It sounds like cooking, but we are talking about teaching today, how we create happy classrooms. So
Hi,
I try my
Mai.
best.
Sorry,
Hi.
just a problem. We can't see your screen at the moment. Something has gone wrong. Maybe you can click stop and then share again.
Okay. Thank you very much for letting me know, Melissa. Yes, I'm
Okay.
happy to share again and hopefully you can see it again. Can you see it now,
Yeah, we
Melissa?
can. Yeah,
Okay.
looks good.
Okay. Wonderful.
If you can make it
So,
if you can make it
yes,
full screen would be bigger for us.
yes. That's what I'm trying to do now. Can you see it now?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, good.
Great.
Wonderful. Yes. So happy teachers need to address anything that happened, any problem that happened. So again, about my story today, I share with you the why and then share with you my recipe for creating happy classrooms for English learning. And if you have time at the end, we will wrap up with some questions and answer. So if you have any questions about my webinar or any content that I'm going to share with you, please feel free to let me know by putting in the chat anything that you'd like to say. Okay, for the why, I don't know why I can't move my slide for now. Um, can you see my next slide now, everyone? If you
Yes, we
can.
can.
Yes, the question is when thinking of a happy classrooms, what do you think of, everyone? Can you please put in the chat anything that comes to your mind when you think about a happy classroom? Yes, I could see speaking, students smile. Yes, how about your smile? Jokes, engage, laughing. Wonderful. Yes, calm, respect, engage learners. Okay, so you guys know a lot of things about happy classrooms. So I hope that after my webinar today, you can know something more apart from what you just mentioned. And all the things that you put in the chat are wonderful things already. So start with the why. Why do we need to create the happy classrooms? For me as a teacher, happy classrooms help me, the teachers, to find the happiness and passion in teaching. For any jobs, if you don't find happiness, you don't like doing that job, right? And you want to quit the jobs. So for the past 32 years, I find happiness in teaching. And for me, the best moment in the day is to be in the classrooms because that's where I could create the happy classrooms. I can find the happiness, I find the passion. It's good for my well-being. I can connect with my students. I feel less stressed and burnout compared with working with other stuff like policies, working with leaders, working with, don't get me wrong, I love working with my colleagues and my leaders, but compared with my students, I think it's the best because I feel less stress and less burnout. And very importantly, when I find the happiness in the classrooms, when I create the happy classrooms, I teach better. I become the best version of myself. And that's why I love teaching. So that is for teachers. Do you agree with me? If you agree with any points that I put here, could you please put in the chat any points? For example, if you agree that it helps you teach better, so just put teach better. If you think that it can help you find happiness or passion in teaching, so put passion in teaching. Excellent. Very good. I could see that many people put a lot of points here. So that's about teachers. Now let's talk about learners. Now, happy classrooms, once they are created, they help your learners become the best self. They help your learners' well-being. They feel better. They feel safer. They recognize their strengths. They have the sense of belonging, and they are more willing to engage in any task that you, the teachers, create. And most importantly, the happy classrooms help the learners learn more and better. And I believe that all of you are teachers, so you could tell once, the students enjoy your classrooms, they become the best self. So I already told you why. Now let's talk about my recipe. When I'm talking about the recipe for creating a happy classrooms, the most important ingredient is the happy teachers. Remember, happy teachers change the world. Happy teachers are architects of the future, and happy teachers are the architects of happy classrooms. So how and what you can do in order to create a happy classroom? My recipe is very simple. It's Friday night, so I'm not going to give you anything complicated. And happy teachers should start with something simple. And the power is simplicity. So my simplest recipe is the four H's and two W's. If you get this recipe, can you type in the chat to make sure that you get what I mean? I will explain what each of the ingredients is, but if you can put in the chat the four H's and the two W's. Yes, four H and two W. Excellent. Thank you, Maria Santiago. Okay, so let's start with the 4H first. What is the 4H? Can anyone guess? What is the 4H? What does the 4H stand for? I could see that someone put honesty, helping, humor, humanism, honesty, wonderful. Homework. Do you think that homework make the classroom happy? And homework should be done at home, right? Hello, humor, honesty. Wonderful. Okay. My 4H stand for humor, heart, head, and hands. Humor, heart, head, and hands. Some of you may wonder, so what is the humor? The humor means smile, your smile. So if you come to class with a very serious face, like this, no smile, it
Hi,
means
Mai.
that, yes,
Just letting you know that your screen has gone small again, so it's not full screen
okay,
at the moment.
okay, good. Is it big again?
Yeah, yeah, great.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you for
Enjoy.
letting me know. Okay. So the humor, the first H is the smile, the laughter. So the teacher's humor is very important. If you come to the class with a very serious face, it's very difficult to have the happy classrooms. The second H is the teacher's heart. Yes, you teach with your head, but you also need to teach with your heart. The teacher's compassion is very important. The next H is teacher's head. And when you talk about teacher's head, I believe that all of you know what I mean. The teacher's knowledge, teacher's thinking, teacher's pedagogies. And the last H is the teacher's hands, teaching practice, teacher support, and teacher's action. Does anyone know why I highlighted in yellow the first two H, the teacher's humor and teacher's heart? Any guess? Any guess why I highlighted in yellow humor and heart? I'm trying to look at the chat now and try to engage with me. Yes, they're more important. Yes, thank you, Quỳnh Nguyễn. Empathy to highlight, yes, the most important things. I think all of these 4H are important. They are equally important, but I highlighted in yellow because these are the two things that many teacher training courses do not pay much attention to. And many teachers tend to focus on head. That is this. That's good that you bring the knowledge to the class, you bring the thinking to the class, you bring the pedagogies, the methods, the way of teaching the class. That's excellent. You bring your hands to the class, you take action, you support the students, you give the students a helping hand. But it's also very important to bring your humor, your sense of humor, and your teacher's heart. And that's the reason why in this webinar, I'd like to elaborate further on the first two H, because these are the two H that many training courses and teacher training and professional development courses tend to forget. Okay, so let's talk about humor. When we talk about teachers' humor, it's important to think about teachers' smile and teachers' laughter. So everyone, look at the camera and smile. Practice smile. Work on your smile. I have a question for you. What does your smile look like? If you have a camera in front of you, like me, I'm having a camera. I can see my face now and I am smiling. Can you all smile? And can you describe your smile? Is it natural smile or is it artificial smile? It should be genuine. Yes, excellent. Natural, genuine. Yes. In order to create the happy classrooms, teacher need to bring your sense of humor. But before talking about jokes or talking about games or playful mindset, it's important to start with your smile, your genuine smile. And in this webinar, I'd like to share with you a Dungeon smile. Dungeon smile is named after Mr. Dungeon Boulogne, who is a 19th century neurologist. And Dungeon smile means when you smile, making sure that the smile reaches the eyes, not just stay in your mouth. So when you smile, but also making sure that the eyes narrow slightly and the mouth corners lift upward, the cheeks rise, and your happy expressions look spontaneous, authentic, and natural. And here in the slide, you could see that I share with you a link where it helps you to practice the Dungeon smile. But basically, a natural smile is the smile that happens not only at the mouth, but also the eyes, the cheeks as well. So everything on your face have to move. But the opposite of the Dungeon smile is an artificial smile. It means that only the mouth, like this. And then when I don't see you or when I say away, it stops. It's like this. But a natural smile, you can see that my eyes and also there's the wrinkles appearing around the eyes as well. So do you remember the name of the smile? If you remember the name of the smile, put it in the chat, please. Yes, Dungeon smile. Excellent. Now, smile is just half of the humor. As a teacher, it's also important to develop a good sense of humor as well. So how can you develop a good sense of humor? Anyone can put in the chat. Yes, with practice. Cheesy green. Okay, I can see a very long sentence here. Not being too serious. Yes, I agree, Debbie. Life is serious enough. A simple joke. But some are good at jokes, some are not. And also, if you teach, multicultural classes, the joke can bring laughter to one group of learners, but it may not bring laughter to another group. So be careful and be sensitive if you're teaching, multicultural classes. To be honest with you, I'm not a good person for telling jokes. I'm not good at jokes. So what I often do in class, I'd like to share with you here. I develop a playful mindset. I try my best to laugh with my students as much as I can, whenever I can. For example, one day my student come to class late and I just smile. I use my Dungeon smile and I ask my student, why did you come to class late? But with a smile. So my student knew that I was not angry because I have a happy face. So my student said, I miss the bus, teacher. And then I use my playful mindset and I say, yes, the bus miss you. So the whole class laughed because of that playful mindset. So it's just a very simple thing. And if you have the playful mindset, you can laugh with the students, and that student was not angry or unhappy at all because that student saw my happy face and the whole class is laughing. And laugh at oneself, not at students. So it's very, be careful, especially when the student makes the mistakes. And try to connect the humor to the lesson through the funny examples or playful analogies or humorous images. For example, one day my student asked me that, Dr. Mai, why are you so happy in the class? And then I use a playful mindset and some sense of humor and tell that student that I feel very happy because you guys are wonderful students. You listen to me carefully, you take notes, but at home nobody listened to me. My husband didn't listen to me. My son didn't listen to me at all. And here everyone listened to me, and for 2 hours, 3 hours, and the whole class laughed. Just a simple thing like that. You can make the atmosphere more relaxed, and everyone can feel like, okay, I'm safe to be here and it's not serious. And when the students feel safe and they have the sense of belonging, as I mentioned earlier, the students love the lessons and it's very good for their well-being and they learn more. Okay, so that's all about the first H. Let's talk about the second H, the heart. And when you're talking about teachers' heart, I'm talking about teachers' compassion. Can everyone think a minute about the concept of compassion and define what you mean by compassion in your own words? What does compassion mean? You can put in the chat any words. Kindness, involvement, kind. Excellent. Empathy, you nailed it. Thank you. Kindness, warmth. Excellent. Love, yes. I always say to my teacher trainees that make the students love you before they love your subject. Many teachers and many teacher trainees tend to do the other way around. They spend more time making the student love the subject. Oh, you have to love my subject. I'm teaching you English. English can help you and bring you to the world, so love the English. But instead, you should make the students love you first. And when they love you, they love the teacher, they will love what you teach. They will love what you tell them. Okay, when talking about compassion, you need to make the distinction between the three concepts of sympathy, empathy, and compassion. Sympathy means you feel for the students. The students failed the exam, you can say, I'm sorry you failed the exam. That is sympathy. The student missed the bus and came to class late. You can say, I'm sorry you missed the bus and you missed the first half of the lesson. That is sympathy. You feel for student. But empathy means you feel with the student. So you put yourself into the student's shoes and you feel with them. I know that you feel disappointed when you failed the exam because I know that you put a lot of efforts in studying. So that is empathy. So you know the difference? Can you put in the chat the difference between sympathy and empathy before I talk about compassion? Sympathy means feeling for students. Empathy means feeling with the student. That's correct. But compassion means empathy, and then you have to take an extra effort by taking action to help the student or to support the student. You fail in the exam. Now, let's do something to help you so that you will not fail again. So compassion means you take the action, not just feeling with the student or feeling for student. You take the action to support them and to help them avoid the mistakes or help them not to fail the exam again. And that is compassion. And here on the screen, I share with you a very good book by an expert in the field of teachers' well-being, and Sarah Mercer, wrote a very wonderful book on compassion-based language education. So if you are very interested in compassion and how to apply compassion in language teaching and language education, please look for the book, Compassion-Based Language Education. The question is how to teach with compassion. Now, compassion is not easy. It's not taking one action. It may be a series of action, and compassion is effortful. And when you take too many actions, maybe you feel tired. So beware of compassion fatigue. You also need to build relationship with and among the learners. And don't forget that compassion and teaching with compassion, starting with your self-compassion. I mean, being self-kindness. So the next question for you is, what do you do to be kind to yourself in classrooms? Can anyone put in the chat any actions that you do to be kind to yourself? Listen to teachers. If you are teachers, I'm asking you as teachers, what you, the teachers, do to be kind to yourself in class. Not to be too angry, okay? Yes, and don't be angry because teaching is hard. And if you are angry, you make your teaching job even harder. Positive smile, yes. Dancing smile, wonderful. So always start with yourself first. Be kind to yourself when the student make the mistake, when something wrong, you're teaching online, something didn't work, be kind to yourself. And teaching with compassion, you can try different ways. For example, you can give the student role plays, scenarios, so that the students put themselves into different scenarios, doing different role plays, using literature, art, film, jigsaw talks, and having conversations. Because when the students have the chance to interact with each other, you can teach with compassion. Sometimes I pretend to be the student. I give my student the role as the teacher, as the teacher educator, and I play the role as a student. And when I sit down and sitting and listening, I realize that, yeah, it is challenging when you are just sitting and listening to somebody talking nonstop like this. So when you change the roles, you understand. And the same, when my student change the role into a teacher, they stand up, they have to face everybody else. They have to use the body language. You have to focus on thinking on the feet. It's hard. And by doing so, they can practice compassion. Yes, somebody say that stay quiet. Yes, but you can't stay quiet for long in the class, especially you are the teachers. It's very important for teachers to practice good communication skills to teach with compassion as well, by learn to listen, slow down, pay attention, using open-ended questions, and beware of interrupting and finishing people in the middle of the sentence. So let the students finish their sentence rather than jumping into the middle of the sentence, because we, the teachers, we have the knowledge. So when the student open their mouth and say something that we know it's wrong, we tend to interrupt them and finish the sentence, which is not good. Okay. And be interested, not just interesting. Yes, we try to be an interesting teacher, but what is more important is to be interested in students. So show your interest, that you care for them, you are interested in them. So be interested rather than interesting. And here I would like to share with you some tips that you can build up savings in emotional bank accounts. I'm talking about teacher's heart. So you need to invest in your emotional bank account by putting a lot of deposits like Danshan Smile, giving student positive comments, kind actions, support students, giving encouragement, giving trust and empathy. We already talked about empathy, not just feeling with or feeling for student, but also take some action. And of course, respect the students. And some teachers tend to withdraw rather than putting the deposits. For example, if you criticize students, it means you are withdrawing from the emotional bank account. You give the students harsh words or harsh time. For example, you say to the student that, oh, I told you this, and you still made this mistake 100 times already. So it means that you are serious and you are using harsh words or harsh time with the students. Ignoring. The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is ignoring. When you ignore the students, you are not investing the savings in emotional bank account. And of course, disrespect. So can everyone look at my list of building up savings in emotional bank accounts? Are you depositing or are you withdrawing from your emotional bank account? Just put D for deposit or W for withdrawal. Deposit. Excellent. A lot of D. I'm very happy. D and W. Okay, I like the honest answer. Yes, sometimes we unintentionally withdraw from the bank accounts. And if you apply this in your family, I think it works very well because sometimes we withdraw from our emotional bank accounts in the family, in the classrooms, in the workplace, instead of depositing. So depositing is very important. And in case you accidentally withdraw, make sure you deposit in order to make up for your withdrawal. Excellent. I could see in the chat a lot of very positive comments about this. I just talked about teaching with compassion. Now let's talk about teaching for compassion. I know that many of you are language teachers, but it's important to remember that we never just teach the language. We have the hidden, and we should have the hidden curriculum as well. We should also teach the students values and attitudes. For example, when you teach English, it's important to note that English speakers, they are very polite. They always put the word please and thank you, I'm sorry in their saying. So when you teach those words, it's also the opportunity for you to teach those values and those positive attitudes as well. Yes, teaching culture. And teach students to have random acts of kindness. I always encourage my students in the class to have the random acts of kindness. For example, I have the students who can't see, they have the vision impairment in the class. I always encourage those students who can see to help those students who can't see, so that the students feel like, well, I come into the class, I get the support, the help, the kindness from my teachers, but at the same time from my peers, from my students as well. And also connecting learning English with an active concern or care for the world. For example, care for the environment, care for where you live. And when I teach my students, I also embed some curriculum, some teaching content, so that I help my students to take care of themselves, be nice to themselves, and also be nice to others close, others far. Non-human life, for example, the plants, the animals, and also being nice to the planet, so that you can interweave those content into the hidden curriculum. Yes, I know it's tough, but it is possible. So could anyone tell me in the chat one four-letter word to complete this sentence before I wrap up? The letter heart, the word H for heart. Learners don't remember what you said or what you did, but they will remember how you made them. Four-letter word. Excellent. I see a lot of good answers. So the answer is feel. Remember, learners don't remember what you said or what you did, but they will remember how you made them feel. But think about this. We, the teachers, often come to class and we have the headache about what am I going to say? How I'm going to start the lesson? How I'm going to sequence the lesson? And we forget that what is more important is how you make your students feel. So touch their feeling, that is more important. Make them love you before loving the subject. Make them love your smile, your atmosphere that you create, the conditions that you create, and then they will remember your lesson. Okay, my recipe, this is the last ingredient of my recipe. Two W's. What does the two W's stand for? Can anyone guess and put in the chat? Warmth and wisdom, thank you. Well-being and workload. Okay, remember we are talking about how to create the happy classrooms. Warmth, well-being. 2W, welcome. Okay, my 2W stand for teachers' well-being and learners' well-being. Some teachers who are so caring and they just focus on learners' well-being, they try their best to make the learners happy, and then at the end of the lesson, they are very tired. The other extreme is that teachers care about their workload, care about their health and their happiness, come to class, relax, sit in the same place, try to speak minimum and let the student do all the work. It means that they care only about the teacher's well-being. What is more important is that you need to take care of both the teacher's well-being and the learner's well-being. What do you understand by well-being? Safety, excellent, encouraging, physical, pleasure. Yes, I could see a lot of very good answers, confidence and respect. Okay, here I cited Mercer, who defined well-being as a sense of happiness, satisfaction, and meaning, which emerges from the dynamic interplay of personal characteristics and social contextual factors. And I also cited Martin Seligman, who is the American psychologist, who said there is a relationship between well-being and learning, and well-being before learning, flourishing students at successful schools. In 2012, my city, Adelaide, in South Australia, where I'm living now, invited Martin Seligman to come to Adelaide and talk to teachers, educators, school leaders about how to bring the better conditions for learning. And he has a talk, and his talk title is Well-being Before Learning, Flourishing Students and Successful Schools. So if you really want to make the learning happen, remember, take care of the two W, the teacher's well-being and the students' well-being as well. In order to make sure that there is well-being before learning or well-being before teaching, because both teachers' well-being and learners' well-being are very important, it's important to put the well-being before learning and before teaching. And Solomon suggested using a very powerful tool, which is perma. And perma stands for P for positive emotions. So what went well? So start the lesson with very positive emotions, with your smile, with the positive news. E, engagement. So do something to engage the learners. You can bring the picture, you can bring a story, you can bring the song. You can start the lesson with a very interesting question. You can start the lesson with a very friendly chat. Do whatever you want to do that you think is suitable in order to engage the learners. And of course, different learners requires different engagement techniques or different engagement strategies. The R stand for relationship, and relationship here means relationship between you, the teacher, and students, and relationship among students. So as the teacher, you should design any learning task so that the students have the chance to interact with each other as much as they can. The M stand for meaning. So have the students see the meanings in what they do, why they have to do the task. And once they see the meanings, then they feel motivated to do the task rather than say, do this task because I tell you to do the task. And the A stand for accomplishment. So don't make the task too challenging. If you make it too challenging, it's very difficult for students to accomplish it or to have the sense of accomplishment. And once you see that the student accomplished anything, even very small and tiny things, praise them, celebrate them. Well done. You did a good job. So If you do all these things, the P, the positive emotion, the E, engagement, R, relationship, M, meaning, and A, accomplishment, you can create a happy classrooms. Now think about the perma. What are you good at? Please put it in the chat. If you think that you are very good at engagement, put E. If you are very good at building relationship, put R. If you are good at bringing meaning to your teaching, put M. If you think that you can help the students with accomplishment, put A. If you think you are good at all these things, put perma. Be honest. Excellent. I could see a lot of P, a lot of R, A, and few of you put perm, P-E-R, and very, very, very few put perma. So I believe that I'm not wasting your time today by sharing with you in this webinar. And from coming Monday, your class will become happier. Today is Friday. So I hope that you take away something from my webinar and you can make your lesson or your classrooms more happy. This is my experience that how I maintain the self-well-being, and of course I use perma, so I always design my lesson and ask myself, what should I do to bring positive emotion to my class today? How can I do to engage the students? My students look tired, my students look sleepy. Do something to engage them, to wake them up. Have I done something to build a relationship between me and the students? Have I helped my students build the rapport and relationship with each other? Have I helped them see the meanings and also accomplish something? So perma is very important, and I use perma in designing my lessons, and I always use perma as the self-assessment tool of my lesson. I always balance resources and challenges. Sometimes it's very challenges, something happened in life. Sometimes, we had something stressful happened before coming to class. So balance those challenges with resources. Different people can have different resources. For me, I love music. I love gardening. I love spending time cooking. So for me, cooking is the resources that help me address the challenges of stress. And also be nice to yourself. Switch off. Sometimes, we bring work to home. Think about work all the time, even before sleeping, which is not good. Sometimes we deserve a day off or even 1 hour off if it's too stressful. And so you always need to have the switching off button ready whenever you feel that, oh, it's too much, it's too stressful, and have time for yourself. And professional development for teachers should also focus more on teachers and learners' well-being, but also leaders and policies as well. So if there are any leaders or school leaders or center leaders in the webinar, please take care of your teachers and the learners. If I were the leaders, I think I will take care of my teachers first. And then when my teachers' well-being are good, they will take care of my learners because my teachers will know how to create the happy classrooms. We talk about learner first, we talk about student first, but if you were the leader, teacher should come first. So in summary, my recipe of happy classroom is 4H and 2W. The 4H means the teacher's humor, teacher's heart, teacher's head, and teacher's hands. Today in this webinar, I didn't have time to talk about teacher's head and teacher's hands because it takes months and years to talk about teacher's knowledge and teacher's practice and action. But the 2W also teacher's well-being and learner's well-being. Before we have the Q&A, I'd like to remind you of very two important saying by first one is by Gandhi. Happiness is what you say, what you think, what you do are in harmony. You smile, but your face looks serious. It's not good. You have a dungeon smile, but you say something that's very serious, which is not good. So making sure that what you say, what you think, and what you do are in harmony. And be happy, not because everything is good, but because you see the good in everything. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening to me on a Friday morning, afternoon, and I'm in Adelaide, so it's evening. And if we have time for questions, I'm very happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Mai. Yes, we definitely do have time for questions. We started a bit late, but so that means yeah, we can keep going for a bit more. So here on the page you can see Mai's references if you're interested in learning a bit more. But now let's take questions from the audience. Anything that you want to know. We've got Mai for 10 minutes. So, how can she help you? How can she help you make your classroom even happier? Send us a question and we'll ask it now. So, Mai, thank you for being so positive. Thank you for saying that teachers need to take a break and do something for themselves. I think that's really important. I'm also a gardener like you.
Yes,
Um,
I'm gardening.
so we've got a lot of teachers saying that they teach a lot of hours. I saw someone in the comments saying that they've had 6 hours of class already today, which is tiring for the last class, right?
Mm,
Um, so I mean, I'm thinking of things like little short activities you can do in the class when you're tired and when they're tired. What would you recommend, Mai? What's a little short activity to bring some happiness to a tired teenage
mm,
class and a tired
mm,
teacher?
mm. Yeah. Before I answer that question, I come from Vietnam. I'm now in Australia. I migrated to Australia, but I spent 2 decades teaching in Vietnam. So you got my sympathy and empathy that, you have to teach 6 hours sometimes in Vietnam. Some days when I was in Vietnam, I had to teach like 8 hours a day and sometimes like just 30 minutes break. And even in winter we started very early, like 6:30 in the morning. I had to leave the house, so it's really hard. So first of all, if you were in that kind of situation, you need to develop some strategy,
Yeah,
because if you don't have the strategy, it doesn't help with your well-being. And having, short activity is just one of the things. But my strategy is number one, you need to plan the lesson first, so that when you are in class, you don't have to put all your brain on your head in your hands functioning fully.
yeah,
it,
yeah.
in some countries like Vietnam, for example, there's traffic jams. So before coming to the class, the teacher already had the challenge to cope with the traffic jam in order to make sure that they come to class on time. And once you're in
Mm,
class, you have to think, oh, how am I going to engage? How are the emotions? If you are novice teachers, I could understand, but day by day, you should develop some good habits of developing some activities, ready-made activities. So once you're in class, it's already there.
mm,
So that is my first advice. When my students feel tired and I feel tired, I think the sense of humor is very important.
yeah.
Make them, make them, for example, instead of saying, are you sleeping? I can say, are you dreaming? So the whole class is laughing. Okay. So just a small thing like that. And also, if they are tired, don't make them do any task that is too challenging. Make sure that they do something that's simple, easy, accomplishment, the last A of the perma.
Yeah. Yeah, great advice. That's really good advice. Um, and yeah, yeah, I agree with everything you say. I read something once about why we get so tired, and the reason we get so tired after class is because we're making all these micro decisions, thousands of micro decisions. But you're right, if there's a lot of planning done before you're in the class, then you need
Mm.
to try on the emotions. Yeah, it's good
Yes.
plan. Let's take another question, and isn't this is an interesting question. It comes from Sarah, and she asks, if you're always happy in the classroom, will some students stop taking you seriously? Has that been your experience, Mai?
My experience is you need on the forehead,
Yeah.
okay, in the classrooms. Today I talk about humor, the teacher's smile, teachers bringing laughter to the lesson, teacher's
Hmm.
humor. But at the same time, you need the teacher's head, teacher's heart, and teacher's hands as well. If you just come to
Mhm.
class and like me today, I just come and I smile, you can have happy moment, but you don't have the
Mhm.
happy classrooms. They come to classroom to learn. So your task is to make sure that you make the learning happen in a happy way, not to make them happy all the time and learn nothing. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong, okay? And that's why I say you need all the four H, the
Mhm.
humor, the heart, the head, and the hands. So if you
Mhm.
combine them, it's like, when you're cooking, if you put, all the salt in, it's not good. You some salt,
Mhm.
some vinegar, some sweet, some sugar, and then it tastes better. The same
Mhm.
for teaching. If you know that, this class is serious, they are preparing for exam, so they need more head here. But if you know that they are already very stressed, they just had an exam yesterday, so today, more heart,
Yeah.
more humor. Okay. So if they know that you have a good sense of humor, good head, good heart, but you haven't given them enough support. So then you have to give more hands. And that's why I use the word recipe. And as the
Mhm.
teacher, you need to know your student the best. And then you know which H is missing today or which H that your student need the most. And then you put that H in. And as the teacher, it's like a cook, you need to know how to cook and you have to taste them before letting people taste them. So the
Mhm.
same, before I come to class, I always try to visualize the class. Oh, my class is 12 today. So for example, today I had a lesson from 12 to 2. So it's noon time. 12. Everyone is sleepy. Okay, I bring some humor in, some engagement in. I
Yeah,
hope I
no,
did
thank
answer the
you.
question.
Yeah, yeah, you really did. And I love the cooking metaphor. So you're a gardener and you're a cook, definitely as well. We can tell that. Oh, yeah, that really helps. It's all about balance, isn't it? Um, let's take an interesting question from Ellie. And I think Ellie is a new teacher, and she asks, when you feel nervous, what do you do, especially at the beginning? Yeah, any tips for new nervous teachers who got a lot to think about but want
Mm,
to be happy and
mm.
have happy classrooms?
I first of all, you got my empathy,
Mm.
and now you got my compassion. I give you some suggestion. First, you are not alone.
Yeah.
I'm nervous too. All of us started being an inexperienced teacher before becoming experienced. And inexperienced teachers, from my observation of working for 32 years as a language teacher educators, 100% of the inexperienced teachers or novice teachers feel nervous.
Mm.
After teaching for 32 years now, sometimes I feel nervous, especially for the new group of learners or the new content. We feel nervous, but a little bit of nervousness is good. If you don't feel nervous at all, and then you treat the lesson is like, oh, just fun, just a game, and then when you come to class, you don't perform the best that you can. Now, how can we? So, first of all, be nice to yourself. Okay. You are not alone. You are not the only one in the world who feel nervous when you have to stand in front of students, especially the students who are older than you, more experienced than you, more mature than you, or they are like your parents' age. So, definitely you feel nervous. It reminds me the time when I started teaching. I was 20 years old when I started becoming a teacher. And the first group of learners, they're all 30, 35, like my mom's or my dad's age. So I was very nervous. And why I'm nervous? Because I felt like, oh, I'm just like the child. And then now I'm standing up in front of them as the teacher. So number one, calm down and be nice to yourself. Be positive that everyone feels nervous. And even Dr. Mai, after teaching for 32 years, she felt nervous. So it's okay that you feel nervous. But what you can do, if you feel nervous for 2 hours, that's not good. Feeling nervous for 1 minute or 5 minutes is okay, but feeling nervous for more than 5 minutes is not okay. How can you avoid or how can you address nervousness? my way of doing things is that rather than making the student paying attention to me, I make them pay attention to them and to each other. Because if I talk like this, everyone look at me, look at my face, look at my hair, look at my eyes, look at my clothes. Now I say work in pairs. Okay, I feel nervous now. So work in pairs or work in groups and do the task. And once the student have to work in pairs and work in groups, then they look at each other, they face each other, and they don't look at you. Okay, and then you have few minutes to take a deep breath, and then I hope that your nervousness will go down. That is my way of doing things. So don't talk all the time because teachers tend to have a very common disease, TTTM, teacher talk too much. Like me today, I'm talking too much.
Oh, it's really good advice. I've seen that happening with younger teachers as well, and inexperienced teachers realizing that, yeah, when the students do things together, it's time for you to breathe, and it's time for you to collect your thoughts again because they're doing something together. It's great, great piece of advice. We are kind of running out of time now. Thank you so much for answering the questions. Thank you so much for your inspiration and for your ideas. Um,
Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Melissa. Thank you, British Council, for giving me the opportunity to reach out to, at the moment, still more than 400 teachers and attendants. That's really amazing. Thank you so much and be happy. And don't forget the dance and smile.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you very soon. We have another event today in about 15 minutes. We are going to start a webinar called Including Learners' Languages in English Teaching with another two fantastic presenters. So don't go away. We'll start in about 10 minutes. But once again, thank you so much to everyone working on the event, especially our presenter, Mai. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.